Welcome to the Real, Relevant, and Righteous podcast. My name is Alexandria. Let's get into it. Today I'm going to talk about Amos. So I was reading Amos like a few weeks ago, and Amos 7 verses 12 to 15 really blessed me, right? And what Amos 7 12 to 15 says, um, and Amaziah said to Amos, O seer, go flee to the land of Judah, and eat bread there, and prophesy there. But never again prophesy at Bethel, for it is the king's sanctuary, and it is a temple of the kingdom. Then Amos answered and said to Amaziah, I was no prophet, nor a prophet's son, but I was a herdsman, and a dresser of sycamore figs. But the Lord took me from following the flock, and the Lord said to me, Go prophesy to my people Israel. And that blessed me because Amos was doing his regular day job. He was a fig farmer, and he was just doing his regular job, going about his regular business. And God was like, I want you to go prophesy. So I thought it was interesting because when he was prophesying and the person came, Amaziah came and was like, Get out of here. Like, why are you here? And Amos is like, you think I want to do this? Like, no one in my family ever done this. My father's not a prophet. I am not a prophet. Um, it's God who sent me. And that blessed me because so many times people just think they are not worthy to do something. Like Amos thought that because he wasn't a prophet's son, or he even said, I am no prophet. And it's not in his bloodline to do that. But now he's doing the work. So he's like, this is not a mantle that fell on me, but it's God that told me to do this directly. So if it was up to me, that's what he was saying. If it was up to me, I wouldn't be here. There's figs that I need to there's figs I need to go pick. There's sheep I need to tend to. There's other things I could be using my time for. But yeah, there's a lot of people that think they're regular. Like, I'm just a regular girl, nothing special about me. Why should God pick me to be a prophet? Why should God pick me to be an intercessor? Why should God pick me to teach, to preach, to minister? Why? If I am just a regular person. So that truly blessed me because I felt like that was so relatable, and a lot of people can definitely relate to that. And when you're in ministry, or for example, when like PKs, right? Preachers' kids, at some point you expect the mantle to go to them, gifted or not. Like, the legacy has to go on, right? So at some point you expect them to do something in ministry, or children of ministers, you expect them to become ministers, become preachers, become singers, become intercessors. Like, you have pastors, you have preachers, you have bishops that their grandparents were preachers, their grandparents were bishops. And this is not the case for Amos, and this is not the case for a lot of people today. But Amos didn't have that bloodline. Amos didn't have that legacy. But God still had a need for him. God still picked him out of everyone to go do his work. So it can be the same thing for you. And this also reminded me of David when Samuel was looking for a king, and Jesse, which was David's father, he lined up everyone, all the other sons except David. David was still in the field. Like, he didn't even think it was important to invite David. Like, go get cleaned up. We're having a visitor. Like, David was still out there working. And when you look closer at the verse, 1 Samuel 16, verse 6 to 7, it says, When they came, he looked on Eliab and thought, surely the Lord's anointed is before him. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. So, my question to you is, what does your heart look like? Oftentimes, a lot of people are judging you based off how you look outwardly, but that is not what God looks at. So, like if someone had to line up the same way how David wasn't invited to even be among the number, they probably wouldn't have invited Amos too, because Amos didn't have that in his bloodline. But it's also interesting to me that even though Amos was a fig farmer, he was also a shepherd, and David was also a shepherd. So it's like a humble job, and they're just leaving these people out. And the qualities of being a shepherd is so important. Like, it can be, skills are transferable, so it's definitely transferable to what God has called you to do. But I thought that similarity was interesting. um but looking closer at why Jesse wouldn't even invite David, I looked at the verse. 1 Samuel 16, verse 11, it says, then Samuel said to Jesse, are all your sons here? And he said, there remain the youngest, but behold, he is keeping the sheep. He's like, don't worry about him. He's busy. He's too young. Like, there's no way. There is no way you are going to pick him. I didn't even invite him. He has chores to do. So the two things that stood out was David being a shepherd and David being the youngest. And I do want to talk to young people, because in this season and in this time, God is going to raise up young people to do his work. And I'm so excited to see that. When looking even more into the young part, David was the youngest of the sons. So Jesse thought that the older ones would be better, because when you think of older people, they have more experience, right? They've seen more things than you probably have seen. And they were past the sheep tending age. Like, they don't have to do the chores no more. Like, they are past a certain stage. So there's more maturity. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. There's more maturity with them. And they're just further along in life in general. Like, Jesse just thought David wasn't ready for this mantle. David is not the one. But we see later on that David, being a shepherd, was training ground for him, because we see that when he gets ready to fight Goliath, and even when he becomes king, it's transferable. So I just want to encourage somebody that if you are the first in your family to be doing ministry, that is okay. If you are the exception, that is okay. And one of my favorite verses is Philippians 1 verse 6. And it says, and I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. And that verse is so encouraging, because it's not an if or maybe. It's a surety. It's sure that the work that God has started in you will come to completion. Another part of that scripture that is good, it says, he who began a good work in you, right, will bring it to completion. Or another translation says, will perform it to completion, or will continue to complete it, or will carry it until it is finished. So if you think about that, it's not you doing the work. It's not you doing the work to complete it, but it's God. who's doing the work in you, God who's doing the work through you. So you just need to be available. If you are the exception, that is fine. If you are just a regular person, that is fine. So be encouraged that if it's just you, God called you for a reason. You are needed for a reason. You are needed for a specific time and purpose. So that's all I have for today. It's not very long. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, let's keep it real, keep it relevant, and keep it righteous.